Okay, cool. Well, I'm Joe, by the way.
Hi,
And
Joe. I'm Mary. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you as well. Thanks for hopping on. And yeah, I just saw your page one day and I was like, oh, you make some cool posts, going to locations and just kind of want to know like where did it all start for you and kind of what are your interests in that area and film in general?
Yeah, so I love talking about this. So honestly, this all started, and I pretty much consider myself an amateur at this point still. I was a big fan of Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad was filmed on location primarily in Albuquerque. And for years, I'd heard there's a Breaking Bad tour you can take, and you can go visit all these locations. And I was just like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. I want to do that. And so in June of 2019, I finally did. I finally went out there and I had my list of all the places and I went around and one thing just led to another. And I guess I got the bug.
Cool.
And then I wanted to go see more locations, not just in Albuquerque, but other productions in other cities. It's actually, I'm going back to Albuquerque to redo some of the stuff I did in June of 2019, because at that point, I had no clue what I was getting myself into. I just wanted to see the spaces in real life and stand there in that spot. And so I actually took some pictures of just the building without me even in it because I had no clue. Um, but one thing led to another, and I met one person who introduced me to another person, and eventually I was introduced to someone that was huge, just very inspiring to me. And now that quality isn't good enough for me. I want to do better. I want to keep doing better. It went from just having the space to having my picture in front of the space to then wanting to recreate an actual, scene or shot or angle from the show. So I'm trying to get better with each time, trying to get a little more creative. So it's not just same old, same old. That's where it all came from, and it just sort of exploded. I've always loved film and television. It's just kind of been my passion. I've always loved to travel and I've always loved to take pictures of everything. So it kind of marries my three interests all into one amazing hobby. And I can't even find the words to describe it. It's just euphoric to go exploring these places. Um, to stand there in the spot is one thing, but also it gives you such an appreciation for all the work that goes into these productions.
Right.
To see these like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is a perfect one. These locations that these people pick, the people that are charged with finding the locations, it's phenomenal the job they do. They must go really out of their way to find some of these spots, but they literally find the perfect spot for every scene. It's a tremendous amount of work, and I have a huge amount of appreciation for all that goes on, behind the scenes, not just what we see in front of the camera. Um, and just getting to be there, it's also a way of almost, I don't know if they recognize this, but it's a way of paying homage, a little tribute to them,
Sure.
that we want to go out and see these spaces, document what they look like now. Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Totally.
So it's all of that combined, and it just makes me, you know, Walter White had a classic line at the end of Breaking Bad. He said, I liked it. I was good at it. It made me feel alive. And that's exactly how I feel about this hobby that I just stumbled into a couple of years ago.
I love that. That's awesome. That's a great quote. But that's so interesting because I've talked to a couple other people in the community, and it's definitely growing as social media has been kind of growing up. Kind of, I've been into it for a few years now, and it's kind of cool to see who, how many other people are into it that I had no idea, and they kind of had a similar experience. And it's hard to explain that feeling of when you're on site somewhere. It's like because people are like, why do you like doing it? I'm like, I just can't explain it. Like I'm a big horror fan, so like, I was at I went to Pasadena and the original Michael Myers house from Halloween. And I remember just being there and I was like, there's just, you can't describe the feeling like,
I got to do that one. Because
unbelievable.
Halloween, come on, that's my, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Oh,
I can't describe it either. I know there are some people that probably think we have all lost our ever loving mind, but if you have an appreciation for film and all the work that goes into it, not just the actors on the screen, because there's a lot more that goes into it, and
mhm.
you love to travel and you love new adventures and you love discovery, it's all of that combined. And like I said, it does pay homage to the project. I hope they recognize it that way. And also, when I'm going somewhere, if it's a private residence, I try to be very respectful. I try,
Definitely. Mhm.
avoid trespassing. But when it's a business, I give them business. So,
Right, right,
I'm not just going there for me. I'm gonna, they're putting their business in. The production has actually brought them business. So I hope they recognize that as well. But
for sure.
I absolutely love it. And I had no idea. I had no idea this universe existed. Like I said, I met one person who introduced me to another, who introduced me to another, and all of a sudden I'm posting things and people are liking it. And like you, I'm finding more and more people doing it. And I'm like, whoa, I can't catch up. There's more people out there than I've probably even discovered yet. It just
Mhm.
keeps exploding.
Oh,
And it's
100%. And you keep seeing, I keep seeing videos and move more photos every day. And it's like, yeah, the list just keeps on growing, and it's fascinating. It's very interesting to see. And I guess during lockdown, I mean, it was a really good activity to do, kind of driving around and kind of being by yourself for a little bit, at least in the, not the city areas, but yeah, I don't know. That's super fascinating to me. So you Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Is there anything else that, what else do you into, and what other locations have you visited that you really enjoyed?
Let's see. Well, and it's funny because some places I went to before this hobby started, and now I'm like, you dummy.
Right, right.
Why didn't you? But since I've discovered this hobby, recently went to Georgia with a couple of friends, and we did Ozark. Sorry, there's
Oh, so
something,
cool. Oh, you're
something in
fine.
my eye. I spent some time in Savannah. I did a few things from Forrest Gump. Who doesn't love Forrest Gump? Come on.
I actually went
Um,
to school in Savannah, so I went to film school there. So yeah, I loved it. Oh, beautiful city.
Beautiful city. Thoroughly enjoyed my time there. I'm a huge, and this is what I was referring to. A few years ago, I found myself in San Francisco.
Mm.
Always had wanted to see San Francisco. So I did all the usual things, Alcatraz, and all the touristy stuff. Come home, and a couple of years later, get into this hobby, and I love Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, I'm a
I'm gonna.
I have a Hitchcock tattoo on my back, so I'm like
Oh,
totally get you. Our dog's name is Tippy.
oh, I love it. I mean, I'm gonna put him up there right with Vince Gilligan.
Oh,
So
totally.
I was in Alfred Hitchcock country, San Francisco. I
Yes.
mean, the
Yes.
birds, Vertigo,
So
and
many.
and I didn't. I mean, I do remember literally standing at the base of the Golden Gate Bridge where the lady goes into the water, but it was at that time it was right over my head.
Right.
So I want to go back and do that. But I did do while I was in Savannah. I did Cape Fear, the original Cape Fear, which is not a Hitchcock movie, but everybody
Right.
thinks it is because
Right. Right.
the director tried to make it. He was paying an homage himself to
Mhm.
Hitchcock. So I did that. I did a little bit of Cobra Kai. There
Okay.
wasn't enough time to do everything. What else did it was kind of a little bit of everything in Georgia. When I was in Oregon last year, I did some One Floor with the Cuckoo's Nest stuff,
Sure.
Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson,
Yep.
one of
I
my
actually
all-time
lived
favorite
in
movies.
Portland for the past 3.5 years, so
Oh,
that's funny.
I love that state. I love the coast on one side, the Willamette Valley in the
It's
middle,
gorgeous.
the mountain regions on the other side. So I'll be going back. I've got to go back. I've got to go to the Timberline Lodge, the classic
Yes.
from The Shining, of course. I've got to do. I can't live with see, now it's getting to, this was just kind of a casual thing to now it's like, I cannot live with myself if I don't accomplish certain things. So
Totally. Yeah.
certain movies that I just love, I've got to get to these places. I've got to get to the hotel that inspired the hotel in The
I
Shining. I've just
know.
got to, or I cannot die happy.
I 100% agree. Definitely.
So I don't know. It's become an obsession. I'm planning to go. I'm actually going to Camp Crystal Lake in 3 weeks.
Oh, you are. So you got tickets for that and
I
everything?
did the
Oh,
original Camp
I'm
Crystal
so
Lake.
man. I was supposed to go to that, but I'm too busy. But that's gonna be amazing. I'm so
I
jealous.
know. I mean, when that movie came out, I was a kid, and that
Right.
scared the living bejeebies out of me. Even though now you look at it and maybe it's not so scary by today's standards, but so
Right.
I'm going to be doing that. And while I'm there, I'm going to hit up some Sopranos locations.
Okay.
I found a few Joker scenes from the Joker
Okay.
were filmed in Newark, so I'm going to try to do that. It depends on how sketchy the areas are.
Yes.
Then in 2 weeks after that, I'm going back to Albuquerque to try to redo some of my Breaking Bad things that are no longer, the quality just isn't there for me.
Mhm.
And then in November for Thanksgiving, I want to go back home to Chicago. All the years I was living in Chicago, did I ever go see the Home Alone house or the Blues Brothers or Dark Knight?
Sure.
No, but
Right,
but now
right.
that I've discovered this, or Ferris Bueller, or you go
Yes.
on and on and on. Groundhog Day. So I'm hoping to go back and hit up some Chicago locations. And then next year, I haven't gotten to that yet. But
Totally.
this is like, I have a day job, corporate
Mhm.
management job that
Okay.
pays the bills, and I do enjoy it. I enjoy being able to, in the role I'm in, I get to help and support people, and I do enjoy it. But is exhilarating? It's,
Right.
it's work.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. I work in video production. I work in like the advertising world. And so, hence my love for film and, I love travel, like literally the same as you. I mean, we very similar story here. And I mean, one of the reasons why, we started this whole thing and, the app in general, or just like, just like talking to people is like, cause I would love to make this more of a, a living of mine, like, it's work that I enjoy, it's a passion. So it's something that I would
Yes,
love to do more full time if I could.
that's actually a perfect word, passion. And when I do something, like I don't do anything halfway. I believe anything worth doing is worth doing with passionate intensity. I don't know where I heard that quote
100%.
somewhere, but right now, well, I always feel this way. I don't know. I mean, this came out of nowhere, and I love it, and I want to do more, and I love doing it. I love sharing it with other people that get it. I've had the opportunity to do that once or twice,
Okay.
but I recently got a tripod and figured out I can do this on my own too. So I
Right.
hope to continue. I hope to continue to up the quality. Sometimes you have to make a choice between quantity or quality.
Yes.
If you're in a city and you only have a couple days, do you want to get as many places as you can, or do you just want to
Right.
narrow it down and get it really precise? So that's kind of the area I'm in right now, trying to figure that all out.
Okay, cool. Now, do you use a camera? Like, what kind of camera do you use? Do you use your phone or?
I just use my phone. I was actually leaning towards
Yeah.
getting because one of the people that really inspired me, who's just, I think, one of the best that does this, obviously has professional camera equipment. And I was thinking of going that route. But then I got this iPhone 12, and I've had some people, him, even including him, just amazed at the quality of the photographs that you're able to get with it. And some have told me that you can get even better quality with this than you can with a professional camera. Unless
Totally.
you really know how to play with all the settings
Right.
like a professional photographer, which of course I don't. So for now, I think I'm just gonna keep going with this. I don't
I
know. We'll
mean,
see.
phones are the way to go. I mean, honestly, like you're gonna post it on anyway. It's gonna compress it anyway, so it's gonna look similar. I mean, and it's
That's true.
sometimes it's easier. Accessibility is easier. You can kind of move it around a lot more and get a little more different angles. So there's definitely pros and cons for sure. But yeah, that's so fascinating because I mean, I use my phone. I have a camera as well, but depending on the locations I go to. But yeah, I'm actually going to Chicago next week.
Oh,
Never been, so I'm very excited to go. It's like
nice.
been the top of my list forever. Yeah, I'm actually going to a Dark Knight screening at one of the locations.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, I don't know if you've heard of Onset Cinema. His name's Kenny Myers House. I don't know if you've heard of him at all. So he
Mm-mm.
lives in North Carolina. He built his house as an exact replica as the Myers house, and he goes around the country. Actually, you should. I don't know if there's any tickets left, but they're actually doing a screening. I'm going to it. It's in October at the Timberland Lodge for The Shining. So I don't know. Yeah, you should check it out because I'm gonna be there. But anyway, he tours the country and kind of goes to different locations and shows the movie, and sometimes has cast or crew members or whoever kind of wants to chat, and they make it like an event, and it's super cool. I've never been, but I've talked to some people who have been, and I'm very excited to kind of check it out and meet everybody who's going to be there. So
So how do I find out about? I mean, that sounds like right up
yeah,
my alley. To
I'll
go to the
send you an
Timberland.
email. I'll send you an email to his website, and you can check. He's got like there's so many events coming up, and there's just tickets and merch and all this cool stuff. So I would definitely check it out if you're interested in that. He
I
did like The
would.
Conjuring, and he did he does the Children of the Corn, and he kind of goes everywhere, and it's fascinating. So it's kind
I
of
would
perfect for
love
people
that.
like us. Yeah, exactly. So
I'm just so happy that I discovered this community. I've done the traditional life, working hard, climbing the corporate ladder, building the home with
sure.
the white picket fence and all of that stuff you're supposed to do. And now I'm just like, I need more.
Yep.
I need more. And then this came along and it just fulfills my need for adventure. And like I said, tucks right in with my interest for film and that whole industry. I know the people that work in it probably think we're nuts, but to me, it's very fascinating. It's very fascinating to be in a location where, you'll see a scene on camera where a character is running down a street, and then they turn the corner, and then they go into a building. And then you get there, and in real life, the street they're running down is 5 miles away
Right,
from,
right.
where they turned the corner. And it's just like, wow, what goes into this? It's just, I have such an appreciation for the art form and the work that goes into it. And then, of
Mhm.
course, there's a part of it that probably fulfills my little unrequited actress that lives inside me or whatever, to stand there and
Sure.
make cute poses or whatever. I don't know.
For sure. Oh, totally. Yeah, that's so funny because I'm an editor myself, and so I totally like appreciate it as well. And I was actually, I mean, definitely a smaller scale, but I live in St. Paul, so I was watching the Mighty Ducks the other day, trying to get all those locations, and it was so funny because there's like a hill. I live right near a hill, and I noticed that they were skating down the hill, and I was like, oh, that's the hill. And then it's like the same shot, but they're in like a different location. But I realized I was like, wait, that's not where the road goes. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because you watch it back and you go kind of frame by frame and you see where they cut it a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's cool to kind of see that, like you were saying, and it's like
It
where
really
that
is.
is, but people who don't know that area like assume that that's what it looks like. So it's kind of fun to
Yeah, and
look
it
at.
makes you wonder what goes into that. Obviously, they're looking for a
Right.
specific look for every little scene.
Mhm.
So it's just, I don't know. I'm probably repeating myself now, but
Yeah,
like I said, it combines several things that I love. I now have a job where I can work from anywhere, so I could literally go
that's awesome.
anywhere, bring my computer, do my work, go out after 5 and do my thing. And I'm freed up. It's kind of came along at the perfect time in my life when I needed it, maybe more than I knew.
Mhm.
And it makes me so happy, and I'm so happy to have met others. Friendships, the friendships that have come out
Totally.
of this.
100%.
It's
Everyone's so nice
unbelievable.
too. Yeah, it's great.
Because like, okay, like you know you people used to talk about, well, where do I find people to date? I find it hard just to find people to be a friend with. And because
Right.
where are you going to meet friends or people to date, right? It's going to be at work. And in my position, it's kind of hard to be commingling with the staff, or commingling ain't the right word, but you have a position to uphold. And or if you go to school, well, I'm way past school days, so I'm not going to meet friends there. But I've found a community and I've made friends here, and
It's
it's
so cool.
wonderful.
I know. I
I
would
love
love to kind of get everyone together someday and just kind of go on a little trip or something, or that would be so fun. But yeah, I totally agree. Everyone's been so nice and,
it.
generous
Yeah.
with locations and sharing addresses and things like that. And it's a great.
I was just gonna say, it seems like everyone is supportive of each other. I haven't really, obviously, again, newbie over here, but I haven't come across people, sabotaging each other. It just seems to be a
No.
lot of mutual love for the art and for the production art, as well as for what we do. I don't know if you
Right.
could really call it art. Yeah, and supporting each other and encouraging each other. I
Mhm.
love it. It's like, where has this been all my life?
Seriously though, like, because I've always known about, like, I was like, oh, that's cool, it was shot there, but I never thought about, making like a living of it, or like a personal hobby of mine. It's
Yeah,
fascinating. So
exactly. I owe it all to Vince Gilligan. If you're out there, if you're listening, I love you.
yeah.
And Breaking Bad, because that's
Sure.
where it
Yeah.
all started for me. And years ago, a lot of shows or productions were probably not filmed on location, back in the days of the
Right.
studio. And if they were, there was no internet. So how would you ever know the location? So I think
Mhm.
as the world has progressed, so have we.
Totally.
So, and now there's probably so many of us doing it. It's, hopefully it doesn't get to be too much.
Right.
Hopefully we all have our own little style or something to say that differs from what the other guy has to say.
Definitely.
I was just actually asking a friend about this last week. We all go to the Walter White House. We all stand in front of it. How do I make mine different from yours or different from the other guys? So that's kind of where I am now, trying to figure out how to be a
Mhm.
little creative, how to make mine say something that the other guys didn't say. Um,
Sure.
I don't know how I'm doing on that so far, but I'm going to keep trying to get better.
I mean, I think you do great. I mean, it stood out to me immediately. I mean, something different. It was unique, different, and it was great. So I definitely think you're making a name for yourself a little bit. So
Well, thank you so much. I know I have to come up with a more clever name. I have to work on that.
yeah, that'll
So
come in time though. Not super important right now.
yeah. And I don't know how you get, I look at these people that have like 5,000
I
followers and I have
know.
like 50.
You'll get there. Like once people start kind of, following everybody and they'll do, I don't know. It took a while for me to kind of figure everybody out. So I'm still in the process of it, every day. So it's kind of fun to find people as well. It's cool to see. And something that I've noticed as well is a lot of, people in the UK and, European, it's huge out there, which I had no idea. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is fascinating. I guess there were so many movies shot out there and shows. And it's cool that it's like a global thing.
Yeah. Yeah. For now, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how you stay on top of this, but if somebody, did you hear that?
Yeah, no worries.
That's my message tone.
I love that.
I'll see somebody liked something of mine and then I'll go look them up and I'll see, oh, they do the same thing, and then I'll follow them. And so that's how I'm little by little finding these people. But how do you stay on top of everybody and see everybody's content? I haven't quite gotten there yet. So I'm
I'm
continuing to
still
work
not
on it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Now I don't know if when you're in California, did you ever go to Bodega Bay for the birds?
Years and years ago, I was there
Okay.
with a person. We went to the wine country,
Okay.
and I was a Hitchcock fan then, and we did go there. Did I take pictures? No.
Gotcha. Right,
Again,
right.
so that's another redo. I mean, I think I literally took pictures of Bodega Bay, but I didn't, do
Right.
shots trying to
Right.
mirror the movie. I do remember going to the restaurant, where they all
The
hid.
tides. Yep.
Um, and I remember they had a gift shop.
Mhm.
Did I buy anything? No. I mean, honestly, it's like, it is true what they say. The older you get, the better you get. And I would like to go back and redo a few things. So I'm going to get back there. I'm going to get back to San Francisco and do all the Hitchcock stuff and work my way up to Bodega Bay and lots of places. I was in Seattle a couple years ago. I
Awesome.
saw what's that thing called that lives under the bridge that everybody goes to?
Oh, I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was in a movie, but did I get a
Yeah.
picture with it? No.
Right. Of course.
Saw the big waterfall that was used at the beginning of Twin Peaks. Did I take a picture of myself in
Oh.
front of it? No.
Well, at least you know now kind of where they are.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, we're all busy in our lives, doing our work, going to school, whatever our life consists of, raising a family, whatever.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes effort to plan a travel, to plan a trip,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And sometimes I had a period where maybe I just didn't even have the energy for it. Like, ugh, I
Right.
don't have the energy to think of where to go and then figure out what to do when I get there and book the ticket and the hotel. But now it's like I live for it. And the first thing I think of is, okay, what was filmed there?
Mhm.
So sometimes I'll go someplace specifically for filming production. And
Okay.
sometimes I'll go someplace like Oregon, the Oregon coast, for example. I went there for vacation. But while I was there, I did Kindergarten Cop, filmed in
Goonies?
Astoria. The Goonies, of course. Who can go
Mhm.
to Astoria and not do the
Right.
Goonies? Um, Talk about feeling like a kid. I was able to get up because for years the Goonie house was off limits,
Yes. Yes.
signs all over the place. Don't come up. Well, I guess the owner had a change of heart. Not sure
Oh.
exactly why. I have a few theories, but now she put up a donation box.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and all the signs that say go away are gone. So I went there and I was
Oh,
nervous as heck, and I walked up that hill and I stood there and it's like, oh, there
oh,
it is.
cool. That's amazing.
I mean, it almost brought a tear to my eye.
Mhm.
That's when I knew I was in this. I was in trouble. I was in deep. But, so that was a vacation. But while I was there, I fit in some movie stuff. So it's kind of a little bit of both.
Okay. Now, like finding locations. Now, how do you like when you go about doing that? Do you enjoy the thrill of like finding them yourself, or do you kind of like when they're provided to you, or how does that work for you?
Well, both. I mean, certainly
Yeah.
the internet, you go out there, you can find locations for just about anything, but then sometimes you have to get creative and find things on your own. And sometimes
Okay.
that's even more fun to find
Right.
something like Oh, recently, I live in the Austin area, and I went to all the locations from Death Proof, Quentin
Yep.
Tarantino.
Mhm.
And there's a billboard. There's a scene in the beginning of the movie where the girls are driving down this road that kind of takes a curve, and there's the billboard with Jungle Julia, the one of the characters. And I'm like, where was that billboard? I mean, it's got to be around here somewhere, right? So I was on Twitter one day, and I think I was looking up Quentin Tarantino, and it just randomly some came across some tweet that someone had made a year ago about living here at the time and seeing the Jungle Julia billboard and thinking that there was like a new DJ in town.
Amazing.
So I, reached out to him. I'm like, hey, where was that billboard? And he told me. And so I was like, oh my God, that was like, nobody knew where that billboard was.
Amazing. That's so
So
cool.
that kind of felt like a huge score, and that took a little detective work.
Totally. It's like
But yeah,
satisfying when you can do that.
yeah, satisfying indeed. But more and more, the information is out there. So
Yep.
there's not a lot of homework you have to do on your own anymore.
Right.
But yes, it's satisfying to do both. So I like both.
Cool. That's interesting. Yeah, it's cool to hear how people go about it, because I've heard both ways. So it's kind of fun to hear. Now being in Austin, have you been to like the Dazed and Confused locations? And
I have not yet.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I actually hadn't even seen that movie,
Oh,
believe it or
really?
not, until recently.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not something I've gotten to yet.
Gotcha. It's quite
I
a bunch
still want
there.
to do, I have mixed feelings about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When I
Okay.
first saw it, did I think it was a good movie? Not particularly, but all these years later, I can certainly appreciate it for what it was at the time and the horror that it instilled on a low budget with like
Right.
no blood and gore hardly. So
Mhm.
as you get older, you can appreciate things for what they are, even if you don't particularly enjoy them.
100%.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I mean, it's right here. It's in my backyard, and I haven't
Yeah.
been to that yet. So that's
Okay.
another thing I have to do.
It's cool. We went there. We went to like the original locations, then the 2003 remake locations as well. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's fun. I mean, my girlfriend wasn't, she's not super into it like I am. So, we were in the car for 4.5 hours driving around Texas, got into these locations, but it was so fun. It was totally worth it. And just exploring, it's another cool way to explore a city, like that was
Yeah,
like my first time in Austin / Texas in general. And it was just like, oh, I've never been in these places. And I probably never, ever would have gone unless these locations weren't here. So
exactly. It gives you a reason to go somewhere, and it gets you out, and it gets you seeing things you wouldn't have seen. I want to go see the house from the original, which is now apparently a restaurant.
yes.
And I saw something on YouTube one day where the guy that played the chainsaw
Leatherface.
guy,
Yeah.
drawing a blank.
Gunnar Hansen.
Leatherface, yeah.
Mhm.
When he was swinging the axe in the doorway, he accidentally hit the frame, and he said those nicks are still in that frame
Oh,
today.
really?
So if you go to the restaurant, it'd be kind of cool. I don't know why that's interesting to me, but it
I love
is.
that. No, that's so cool.
Yeah, I love that kind of little
So do
detail.
I. Yeah.
Recently, when I went to get my COVID vaccine, where the vaccine was, practically across the street was the barn used in the Friday the 13th remake that was filmed in
No
Texas.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Did you know
So,
at the time when you
hmm,
went? Did you know that that was where it was filmed when you went to get your vaccine, or?
now a friend had told me that it was in Round Rock, Texas, and it
Gotcha.
just so
Yeah.
happened it was across the street from where I was getting my vaccine. So I got a lot of neat shots out there. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
I only think it was in one scene in the movie, but
Yeah.
yeah, at some point we're supposed to go out and do the other locations from the movie too.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's actually been quite a lot filmed here that I was not aware of. So
Mhm.
it's definitely
Yeah.
something fun to do. Get out of the house, gives
100%.
you a reason to go explore, and then you discover other things you maybe wouldn't have discovered too. Other than, because what else are you gonna do? Just sit home all your life?
Right. Right. Yeah. No.
There's a whole world out there just waiting to be discovered and explored and have fun with.
Oh my
So
gosh. And like, new movies come out, all the time. New locations are going to always come out. It's like an ever growing activity, which is awesome. So I think that's super cool.
it is. The one thing I would like to say is like my friend who's been to Albuquerque numerous years and has been doing this for a long time. As
Mhm.
the years have gone by, it seems, and maybe as more people are doing this, it seems the owners of these properties are getting more and more strict, having more
Yeah.
security,
Right.
putting up more gates. I don't know if it's just they're getting tired of it, or if people that are visiting these properties are being disrespectful,
Right.
you know, causing damage. I don't know, but I would just hope that anybody that has this passion when they go out would do this and be respectful, give the
Yes.
businesses your business, you know, treat the private properties with respect as you would want your own treated. Because I don't want to see this become where everything is just off limits to
No,
everybody.
no, no. Yeah.
Um, you know, the Walter White House is a great example.
Yeah.
I feel like the owners of that house had no idea what they were getting into when they agreed to let their home be shown in this series. And now I think it's like one of the number one, if not the number one house that people
Yep.
have to go by. Even if people don't watch Breaking Bad, if they're in
Right.
Albuquerque, hey, we got to go see the Walter White House.
Right.
And it got so insane where people were throwing pizzas on their roof. I mean, that they've
Mhm.
had to put up, you know, a fence all the way on the around the property. And
Such a
um,
bummer.
yeah, it doesn't have to be like that. Let's just all have our fun, but let's be
No,
respectful and treat these properties and the owners with respect. And everybody can have a good time that way. And we can all share our experiences.
definitely. Yeah, I just want other people to like have the same experience that I had when I went to that location. It's like I don't like when people ruin it either. It's like we're all doing the same thing. We all have the same passion. Let's all just and that's something that we really strive for is like private property type of thing. Because I've seen people go, literally go on someone's porch and just like take a photo. I'm like, you can do that, but you should ask their permission at least. Just don't go on their porch and take a photo. Like that's like that could ruin it. They could build a
Yeah.
fence or something like that, and it's just unfortunate because you want it to be how it you've
Yes.
seen it.
And
Or
I have to admit, when I like that first trip in June of 19, I went and stood on a
yeah, I
porch.
mean,
Well, I don't know if
totally.
I stood on the porch. I stood on the walkway leading to the porch because even then I was a little, but because I didn't know any better then. But now
Right.
that I do,
Yeah. I mean, your first couple of times, you're not going to know. Like the first time, a couple of times I did this, I didn't know. And it's like you learn over the next, you're like, oh, wait, I should probably, if I lived in that house, I probably wouldn't want someone just running up on my porch. So I totally get it. Yeah. I mean, everyone's got, they got to figure that out for themselves. And
yeah, I've even gone so far, not that I've had huge success, but writing property owners a letter before I go out to the
that's a good
city,
idea. That's a really
asking,
good idea.
is it okay? I haven't had great success with that, but
Sure. At least you
at
try
least I
though.
know I'm doing the right thing.
Mhm. Have you had any like bad experiences with that? Has anyone ever come out and said anything, or
Bad experiences. I don't know that I have had bad experiences. The worst, like I went to a restaurant one time in Albuquerque, and honestly, I mean, I would have sat there and had lunch if I hadn't already I was with some friends and we had already had lunch. And
Mhm.
this lady was just like staring at us the whole time because we were just walking around and going, oh, this is where Walt's at, or this is where Walt was on
Right.
the phone. And um, we would have sat and had a drink or something, but there was a lady playing music at the bar. So it was really kind of off limits. So we just took a few pictures and left. But this lady was like following us around, giving us dagger eyes the whole time. And that was a little weird. I
Yeah.
mean, but I get it that she was probably thinking, well, are you going to eat or not? And
Right.
so
Right.
I can, we were probably guilty of not giving that business the proper respect at that time. So I've learned my lesson from that. Now, my friend that does this, he's gone places, he's been doing this for years, and
Mhm.
he's spectacular. He's had guns pulled on him. So, I mean, I know that it can get, you got to be careful out there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Especially in some of the, sketchier areas for sure. And that's something you don't realize. Like when you're like, oh, this place looks cool. And then you go in person, it's completely different than what you think it is. And I've had experiences like that before. And I mean, I assume, I don't know if you've experienced that at all, but I know in Georgia, it can be like that a little bit near Atlanta, at least. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
something we also want to try to kind of convey a little more is like the accessibility and the safety factor in a way, like if something's all boarded up or if there's scaffolding or if it's anything. I think knowing that before kind of would be super beneficial, because since you're not driving 2 hours for a location that you won't be
Yeah.
able to see. So
Yeah, like there's an area in Albuquerque that I would kind of like to go back to when I go back in September, but I heard they put up a sign that says, outsiders aren't welcome. So I really don't want to make the trek all the way out there.
Right.
If that sign is still there, but how do I find out? But
Exactly.
yeah, I was when I was in Georgia, I did experience, it was very different from Albuquerque where this hobby started, because everywhere you went in Georgia, it felt like there was a lot more security. And I
Okay.
think part of that was because you were basically you were on active filming sets. If you
Right.
went to a house from Stranger Things, they're currently filming Stranger Things. So I felt like everywhere you went, there was more security guards. I was approached more times saying, okay, just take a couple pictures and get on
Gotcha.
your way. Almost felt like I was doing something wrong in a way. They made me feel like I was doing something wrong, but I don't think I was doing something wrong. I'm in a
Right.
city street taking a couple pictures and I'm gonna go on my way. But I did go to one property that I was not aware of, ignorance. Got there and two dogs came running out, and they weren't huge dogs, but they were larger
Wow.
dogs, and you don't know, two dogs come charging at you, you don't know.
Right.
So I ran for the car.
Oh my
That
gosh.
probably would have been my scariest experience. Got in
Whoa.
the car, I was with some friends. Turned out the dogs were perfectly friendly,
Of
but
course.
one of my friends ended up petting one of the dogs. But you don't know that. You see two strange,
No.
relatively large dogs coming at you. You don't know what to think. And then at this particular location, as I told my other friend about this, who's been doing this forever, he of course has been to that spot, and he said, "Oh yeah, when I went there, I had a gun pulled on me," and I'm like,
Oh
"Oh."
my gosh. Jeez.
So I think maybe those dogs were intended to scare people off. I think that particular location doesn't appreciate visitors, but I didn't know that going in. So
Right. Exactly. You never know. It's
so do
always
your research, because if you
100%.
do, you'll find out where the places that really don't want you. The people that own the Walter White House, they really don't want you coming by.
No, no,
They
no,
really
no.
don't. If you really want to see the Walter White House, go on the Breaking Bad tour. They will
Yes,
take you there. And the owners of the property are perfectly fine with the people that are on that tour getting off the bus and taking a picture in front of the house.
for sure. I mean, that's what it's for, like that's the tour is for that. So,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, I'm like, going back to Chicago, I'm definitely gonna go to the McAllister house from Home Alone. And I've heard, like, I don't know if it's a new owner or someone recently, but I'm, I've heard they may be kind of weird about visitors. So I'm hoping that doesn't become the same situation as the Breaking Bad house, because it's like a beautiful house. I mean, I don't want a dumb fence in the front, like I want it to look how it does. So,
I could be wrong, but I thought I heard they did put up a fence,
oh,
but
did they? Maybe you might be right. I haven't really done my research yet.
I may
But
be wrong. It's so interesting because you will go some places and you get the stink eye,
yes,
and it's their property, so they're
right.
entitled. And then you go other places, like we went to a restaurant that was used in the filming of Ozark,
Mhm.
and these two characters had a meal in a booth. You go there and there's literally a plaque on the wall
That's
saying,
cool.
"This is the
I
booth
love
where,
that.
so and
Yeah.
so sat." So some places really embrace it, and some
Yep.
places not so much. Oh, there was and you'll probably know what I'm talking about. There was a motel used in Breaking Bad.
Oh yes.
And when I went there in 2019, Breaking Bad had been off the air for how long at that point? And the manager, I guess, in the office came out screaming, "It's been 10 years!" Like she was so annoyed that I was standing in her parking lot trying to take a
Oh my
picture.
gosh.
Um, Again, it's good for business. People are, but then
Totally.
again, I wasn't giving them business on that day. I was just trying to take a picture and be on my way.
Right.
But from what I understand, that same motel is going to make an appearance in the sixth season of Better Call Saul. They allowed it to
Oh
be
snap.
used again. So as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned,
All
they're going to
right.
be having more visitors. They better be prepared for that.
Oh,
But
totally.
again, be respectful.
Yeah, 100%. I do appreciate when people are embracing it. Going back to the Halloween locations, we went to I did like the VIP tour one year of all the Halloween locations, which was really cool.
In California?
In Pasadena. And it was awesome. But we went to Laurie Strode's house, and it was so cool. You know how you're familiar with Halloween, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. Just making sure, because sometimes
Totally.
I don't know, you're crazy if
Totally.
you aren't, but so the corner where she sits with the pumpkin. So that's like right next to her house. So it's so cool. Like the owner embraces it. The woman puts out like a bowl of candy and she puts out pumpkins for you to sit with on the corner and take
Oh my
photos.
gosh,
It's
really?
super cool. And she like came out and talked to us and like, hey, there's like a newspaper clipping from when they shot it. And like, it was just so cool. And like, she loved it. And I was like, that's so cool. I love when people do that. And it's just fun, fun to hear experiences and, what they saw during the shooting. And, of course, this Halloween, especially like, it's such a low budget horror film from the 70s. No one knew it was going to be this popular ever. And she's probably like, yeah, you can use this, almost like a student film, but it's
I love
become
that. I
one of
love
the
that.
masterpieces. Yeah.
There's in Albuquerque, there's a business by the name of the Candy Lady,
Okay.
and she's the one that made the blue crystal. It's
Oh,
actually like blue rock candy, if
no
you will,
way.
the crystal meth. And if you go fictional crystal meth,
Right.
whoops. um, and if you go into her store in the back room, she's got this supply of all this blue rock candy, and she's got cardboard cutouts of Walt and Jesse, and you could stand there and like have
That's
your picture taken,
awesome.
so she's embracing it. The car wash was embracing it the last time I was there, although I've heard that they've maybe changed things a little bit, so I don't know about that. But yeah, some places embrace it, some places don't. I can kind of understand why the private residences might get tired of it, especially since there's more and more of us.
Right.
But for the businesses, it's good for business.
Totally.
I hope they would see it that way.
I do too. I mean, and I hope that if people do go, like you were saying, at least get like a cup of coffee or something to kind of support
Something.
them. Yeah.
And I like to have a souvenir too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. It was funny. I was talking to I don't know if his name's Set Jetter on Instagram. Yeah, Robert. Super cool. Yeah, I chatted with him not too long ago, and he told me the story where he went for the new Halloween film was shot in Charleston. So he went there like before the movie even came out. And because he like talked to some people who worked on the movie, and he went up to the house and like asked if he could take photos. And she's like, yeah, sure. Come inside. Like, I'll give you a tour of where they were and everything. And he's like, okay, great. And then she's like, oh yeah, this is the skillet that she uses. And he's like, oh, you should sell it. And the woman's like, oh, you can just have it. And so they just gave it to him. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, you never know what you're going to get or who you're going to talk to. You might end up being so lucky in getting that experience. And it's just cool. Souvenirs.
It is. You're right. You never know what you're going to get. Right now, they're all my experiences starting to run together, which is funny because this didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes it's awesome, and it's a conversation starter. That's for sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's funny because I'll be talking. They're like, we went to Bodega Bay for my birthday a couple of years ago, and the trip was specifically to go to Sonoma County for the Scream locations as well as the birds. And they're like, oh, why are you going to California? I was like, oh, we're going to go see movie locations. And they're like, you're going just for that? And I was like, yes, I am. And the craziest part is we were in have you been to the Scream locations or no in Sonoma County?
No.
Okay, cool. It's great.
No.
Beautiful area. I mean, you went to wine country, so but we went to the community center where the high school was, and we were inside taking photos. And I had like 5 of my friends behind me just taking videos and photos of me. And it was my birthday. I was like, I'm taking advantage of this. Do everything I say. It's my birthday. But I was taking photos, and all these people were in there and like, oh, like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm taking photos. Scream was shot here. And none of them knew. No one knew that. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but also kind of crazy.
I've had that too. I've gone into locations and I'll say, well, I'm here trying to recreate the scene from whatever. And they're like, no way. Actually went to New Orleans in February. Bryan Cranston had a mini series on Showtime called Your Honor. Yep. And New Orleans is like a 8-9 hour drive from here. So a friend and I decided to go, and we did all the locations from that. And while we were there, we also did some American Horror Story stuff, Freak Show and Coven.
Yep.
And we went to this bar in a hotel that was used, I guess it was in Coven, because that's where Jessica Lange's character picks up the Axeman.
Yep.
And they're like, and we're like, oh, we're here to take a picture because American Horror Story was filmed. And they're like, no, it wasn't. And we're like, yeah, it was. And they're like, no, it wasn't. And we're like, yeah, it was.
Amazing.
So pull up the clip on Netflix, play it for them. They're like, yeah, it was.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
When we know more about the places and the people that work there, it's funny.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's so cool though. New Orleans is a place I got to get to. I feel like I mean, I've heard it's like Savannah in a way, and I just love that.
In a
How is
way,
it?
because it's old and
Okay.
it's south, and you've got, the old historic mansions and
Okay.
the plantations,
Mhm.
are little
Yeah.
these,
Yeah.
these days. You don't want to admit really that you went.
Right.
But a
Right.
lot of the history is the same.
Okay.
The cities felt very different, although the Saturday night I spent on the riverfront in Savannah reminded me of
Sure.
my Saturday night in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It gets a little crazy down there.
Mhm.
But I mean, that was all these years I've been right there, and it took a show to get me to go there. And I fell in love with the city. I absolutely fell in love. I had no idea I would love it as much as I did. So now I
That's
can't
awesome.
wait to go back.
Mhm.
Of course, I had to do some NCIS New Orleans while I was there
Of
too.
course.
I mean, how can you not?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a newfound passion that completely fulfills me. And I'll tell you the one downer about it. The one downer, maybe you can relate, maybe you can give me some advice.
Mhm.
You plan a trip, you look forward to it, you do your research, that's part of the fun. You get there, you live it, you're having a ball, you get home, maybe you manage your content, and then you're done and the trip's over. And then you're like,
Yeah.
now what?
It's a
So the
bummer.
only solution I found is plan the next one, because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is an addiction, but if it is, it's a fun one.
Totally agree. No, 100%. I feel you there. I mean, I went to Wilmington, North Carolina recently, and when I came home, I went to so many locations there, and I came back, I was like, okay, now where am I going to go next? And it's definitely an addiction in a fun way. But yeah, I don't know. I think just kind of living the moment when you're there is kind of the most important thing, because I feel like that's what I want to, go back to some of the locations where I've been before, early on when I started this, like you were saying, I didn't get the right photo or anything. You don't really appreciate it as much when you were there. But like nowadays, I go to a location and I just kind of like breathe it in, soak it in. And that's what you got to do. I feel like for every location, just like that, you really want to see at least. And it's just like, just appreciate everything that went into it. And yes.
Yeah, that goes back to what we're saying about quantity over quality. I do take a moment to just sit there, just take it all in, and just stand there for a minute. Not just, okay, hurry up, get the picture, let's get to the next one. I want to soak it in. Even like the businesses that are used in the production, I want to sit there. I want to have that cup of coffee. I sat on that bench in the Covington Square where, Dr. Sleep, that was another production I did. I just sat on that bench for I don't know how long, just
that's awesome.
Taking it all in. I mean, it's just, you're right. You can't explain it.
You can't. Like I've tried so many different people, so many different ways. It never comes out right. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't explain this. It's just,
yeah, you either get it or you don't. And I feel like the joke, Joaquin Phoenix at the end of the Joker, you wouldn't get it.
Yes. One of my favorites.
And it's almost like there's like this almost a little bit of, you don't even want to tell certain people because they wouldn't get it, and then you're going to get that look, and it'll have an element of shame associated with it, and I don't got room for that. So
no, of course not. No,
just not going to tell people that I know wouldn't get it.
Right. And like I'll tell like my parents, like, oh, that's so cool, like they appreciate that I love it, so I'm like, okay, I'll tell you guys. But it's it's certain people, yeah, they're just like, oh, cool, nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Bye.
So I live in this little secret society.
Yes, it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool to, have that little group.
Yeah, because at work, it's all buttoned up and professional. And yes, you obviously some of yourself comes through, but it's business and it's corporate. And, and then I get out there and it's just like, I'm in front of whatever. And I feel like a 4-year-old and 100%. Doing silly things.
This is where Jason Voorhees was standing,
I know.
Oh, so cool. I love that.
I know. But I don't know. It's crazy, but it's wonderful. And I'm glad so many people are finding it. And I just hope everybody continues to be respectful about it. And
yes, agreed. Very much.
Doesn't make the whole thing implode on us all.
Right. Yes. But well, cool. I mean, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. And I really appreciate you hopping on the call with me. It's been really fun talking.
Yeah, it absolutely has. Thank you for asking. I've enjoyed talking to you about it.
Yeah, I'm always down to chat. So
Yeah, our the secret society members, we got to stick together.
We seriously do, honestly. And that's the beauty of, I guess, Instagram and things like that. It's like you can kind of be in touch with everybody without actually being in touch, which is really nice. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of effort sometimes to be in touch with people. So it's Instagram is perfect for that situation.
it is. It's a lot of effort to do this and a lot of effort to stay in contact with other human beings. That's for sure. So
For sure.
it gives us another reason to connect, which is another beautiful benefit of this whole thing. I've made friends, like I said, I never would have met otherwise. So
100% agree. Well, cool. I mean, I'm sure we'll stay in touch on social, and can't wait to see more of your posts in the future and
thank
your
you.
locations. So
Thank you so much.
yeah,
I
of course.
it.
Yeah. Well, cool. It's been great. It's been great talking to you. So if you're ever at like a movie location event, let me know, and maybe I'll be there too or something. Maybe we can all hang out or something at some point, and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Send me that info on the one.
I will
Oregon.
definitely.
I'm
Yeah, he's got
definitely
tons of
interested.
events coming up, so there's tons to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely. Oregon, I mean October.
October
October is
9th, I believe.
because I know that could be a sketchy area to get up to in the winter. But
Yes.
October
I think it'll be right before. It should be at least. So yeah.
should be good.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. I don't want to say any false things, but I can assume it'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's the best I can do. But yeah, I'll
Otherwise,
send you the
we're gonna
link.
have to get that. We're gonna have to get that red, that big truck.
Right,
that
right.
Scatman Crothers got, and
Oh my gosh.
work our way up there.
The snowcat. Cool. Well, all right.
All right.
Well, have a great weekend, and
Thank you.
be in
Thank
touch
you so
on
much.
social. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.